First, let's take a look at the tools we're going to be using today to make this a smooth and trouble-free string change. First things first, we have a mat or any kind of protective pad to make sure that our instrument is safe and isn't getting banged around. We also have a neck rest. Something like this can be used for guitars, ukuleles, mandolins, or many other types of stringed instruments. We have a string winder. These are very useful tools to help you wind strings onto your tuning posts quickly and efficiently. We have a set of snips. These are going to be very useful for cutting the strings precisely in the locations that we want them to, both on the bridge side and on the neck side. Now, these are not strictly necessary, but I find them useful. This is a set of flat pliers, and we're going to use them to apply extra tension in certain places where we want to make sure a knot is really nice and tight. Last but not least, we have this tuner. Now, there are a variety of brands of tuner that will work great to make sure your instrument is in tune. I like this one. Most important thing is to make sure that it's accurate and that it has padding so that it's not going to cause damage to the finish of your instrument as you clip it to the peg head. Today we're going to teach you how to tie the strings on the end of a bridge that uses a tie block. Now, some bridges on instruments will use a ball end or a knotted end string. In this case, we have a ukulele with a tie block. This requires a little bit more skill and time in order to perfect, but with a little bit of practice, you too can learn how to tie a perfect knot on the end of a tie block. The first step in restringing a ukulele like this is to go ahead and remove the old strings. Maybe you've broken one and so you're going to go ahead and replace the whole set. Or perhaps your strings have become old and are just not sounding the way that you'd like. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and loosen these strings a little bit using our string winder. Just enough to take the tension off so that when we go ahead and snip them, that we're not going to cause any damage to our instrument. So I'll go ahead and begin loosening strings. They don't need to be all the way loose, just enough to take the tension off. Once my strings have been loosened by a few turns, I'm going to go ahead and snip the old strings. I have this snipper here. It's small and convenient. In order to make sure the strings don't go flying off, I'm going to hold the string on one side and keep my palm resting on it on the other side. And I can come in between and cut the string. This way, I've prevented the string from flying off in any random directions. Both pieces of the string will stay handy. From here, I can go ahead and feed the loose end of the string back through its knot. In order to pull it from the instrument. I'll repeat this process on every string. Once I have removed all the strings from my instrument, this is a good opportunity to go ahead and do any of the little routine maintenance that makes your guitar or ukulele a lot more fun and easy to play. So in this case, you could go ahead and oil up the fingerboard or polish up the frets. Once we're ready to go ahead and start installing new strings, we're going to begin with the string that is closest to the player in a playing position. In this case, that would be a G string. First, I'll remove the string from the package. I'll inspect the string carefully for any kind of kinks or cracks. We want to make sure that our string doesn't have any knots in it other than the ones that we're going to go ahead and put in. I'll take the free end of the string and thread it through the bridge from the front side so that it pops out the back. I'll catch the tail of the string, giving myself anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inches of slack here on the other side. I'm going to go ahead, take the free end, loop it once around the back of the string on the side toward me, the player, and tie a small knot. I'll loop this knot 2 more times for a total of 3 turns around the string. At this point, while holding the free end of the string, I can pull on the side toward the neck, and the knot should tighten, while leaving a tail that is protruding just beyond the hole for the next string on the bridge. I can go ahead and hold one end taut with my flat pliers while I apply tension from the other side of the string. At this point, I can go ahead and take my string and secure it at the peg head. While holding the string in place and keeping some tension on it here at the nut, I'll take the free end of the string and secure it to the tuning post. First, I'll go through the hole, pull the string taut, and then loop back around one time, halfway around the post, and through the hole again. This way I've created a little bit of a loop here, which will be self-tightening as more winds wind onto the post from underneath. It is very important that as you go ahead and tighten the string, that the free end of the string actually be secure on top of the winds. I'll take my string winder and begin applying some tension. This is the point at which I want to make sure that this free end is sitting on top of any subsequent winds. So I'll watch it very carefully as we get to that point. You can see they want to bump into each other. So I'm just going to help it along and make sure it stays above the subsequent winds of the string. Once the string is approximately at pitch, I can go ahead and move on to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and push my string through the bridge, just like we did the first time, with one important difference. I'm going to ensure that the loose tail from the first string that we applied is actually going to come in through the knot that we make with this next string. So I'll come through, give myself that 1.5 to 2 inches of slack, come around to the player's side of the string, loop once, and then back through that loop twice and 3 times. At this point, I can once again take my flat pliers, grab the tail of the string, and pull it outward. You can see that as the knot tightens, the loose string protruding from this first string that we applied is actually coming in right through the knot that we've just tied, and that we once again have enough loose end here to do the same on our next string. At this point, making sure that this knot doesn't slip, I'm going to apply light tension. I'll go ahead and secure the string at the tuning post, holding it in place at the knot while maintaining light tension, putting it straight through the post, and looping around to go through the post again. At this point, I can go ahead and tighten up this string while making sure that the free tail is sitting on top of any subsequent wraps. There are a few ways to do this, but I just like to make sure, once I get to the point of potential overlap, that I'm helping the string along, making sure that it stays on top of the subsequent wraps. Now that I've got this string nicely secured, my first string is coming right through that knot, and I have enough tail to go ahead and tie the next string on in the same fashion. I'm going to go ahead and proceed. I'm going to go ahead and feed it right here through the bridge, catch the free end, give myself that 2 inches of slack. On these little slippery ones, it may be a good idea to give yourself a little bit of extra free end to work with. You can see that the tail protruding from the previous string is actually going to be perfectly positioned inside the knot of our next string. I'll come up around the top and, looping first toward the player's side, come around the string 1 time, back through 2 times, and 3 times. As I begin to pull this taut, I've gone ahead and captured the free end coming out from the previous string. I can bring it up to the nut, hold it in place, and secure it to the post, first coming straight through, pulling it tight, then looping around halfway to come through the post again. I'll pull that knot tight, and I can go ahead and begin to put the string under tension. You may notice that I've left this last string a little bit longer than the others. There are a few reasons for this. First of all, we will not have a knot following our last string, and so there will be no knot to secure it. So in order to make sure things look tidy and neat, as well as being secure, we're going to go ahead and snip both strings together at the end here. I'll take my last string, put it straight through the bridge just like the others, grab the free end. Once again, I'm going to give myself about 2.5 to 3 inches of slack at the end of this string, a little bit more than we did on the very first strings. I'll come around on the player side of the instrument, go underneath the string, and then come straight back through to create a knot. I'll repeat that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. While keeping hold of the free end of the string, I'm going to go ahead and begin tightening my knot. Now you can see that all my strings are coming through in a straight line in the same direction toward the end of the instrument. While maintaining a slight amount of pressure on the string here at the bridge, I'm going to go ahead and secure this free end by holding it under tension, securing it at the nut, and then putting it through the tuning post, and looping back around, and through the post again. Once I've got all the strings tuned up approximately to pitch, I'm going to go ahead, take my cutters, and while cutting both strings at the same time, bring them flush to the edge of the bridge. I've just cut both strings at once. And now you can see that I have a very clean and neat line with knots that are going to be stable and secure so that I can play my instrument for many months to come. The last step in the process, of course, is to cut the strings here at the end of the peg head, which I'll go ahead and do. And finally, tune my instrument to pitch.